Hello, you lovely people. Welcome to the channel. My name is Scott Beeks, and today we're going through the 4 different types of landing zones in Roundnet. Now, we've all been in that position before where we're standing and we're setting our partner, and we're not really thinking about exactly where it's going to land on the net. We're just thinking ball to net so that our hitter can perform a hit and kill the ball. Well, hopefully by defining these 4 landing zones in Roundnet, you're going to have more clarity on where and why to set your partner in those specific spots. First landing zone we have in Roundnet is called Bullseye. Because if you take the Roundnet set and you compare it to a darts board, it's dead center in the middle. When the ball is being set and it's landing dead center in the middle of the net, it means we now have squares in every direction. I can go push or open, and I can also go pull, because these squares determine the options I have available to me. Now, for all these great options, there's a trade-off. I have 360 degrees, I have great options. However, in return, I need to have great footwork to be able to reach that ball that's landing dead center. Because if we're here and we're outside the no-hit zone, right now I'm really struggling to reach that. So it's gonna require footwork for me, and usually in this instance, the cross step, to be able to reach that ball and perform a hit. So it's always a trade-off. Great set, 360 degrees gives me bullseye, but in return, it requires a high level of footwork to be able to perform a hit when a ball is set dead center. The second landing zone in Roundnet is called the sweet spot. This sweet spot is between bullseye and the rim, and right here is called the right-handed sweet spot. Here is the left-handed sweet spot. Here is the short sweet spot, and here is the long sweet spot. We're going to talk about the long and short sweet spot in future videos. But for now, right-handed sweet spot. You can see with the ball being placed there, I still have squares in every direction. I can still go push, open, pull, and I can still hit it in this direction because I still have squares to work with. It will be a harder shot than bullseye because there's less squares, but I still have a shot in that direction available to me. When the ball is being set here on the right-handed sweet spot, I still have great options. With it being on a sweet spot and not being as far center, it means the footwork that's demanded is not as high. Now, the third landing zone we have in Roundnet is called over the rim. And this is when the ball is being set within a couple of squares on the rim, either just inside the net or just outside the net. And with this option, it now doesn't demand a huge amount of footwork. I could stand here and I might not even need to perform a shuffle step or a cross step. I might just be able to reach this and rip. With that trade-off of not demanding a huge amount of footwork, I also don't get a huge amount of angles or degrees when hitting with this ball. When this ball was landing in landing zone 1 on bullseye, I had squares in every direction. I could hit 360 degrees. When this ball is now being set and it's going to land just above that rim, well, the squares I have available is here. That's not 360 degrees. That's not even 180. So it's always a trade-off between the more angles you get, the more footwork it demands. The less angles you get, the less footwork it demands. That's why we like the sweet spot, because it gives us the optimal amount of angles and doesn't require the highest level of footwork. The fourth and final landing zone in Roundnet is called an off-net set. And this is just like in the name, when the ball is being set off-net. If this ball is being set here and landing towards the floor and landing maybe just outside the no-hit zone, I now have even less squares available to me than I did over the rim. For these now lack of angles on the net, it still requires a high level of footwork. Because if I'm here and I'm set and I'm ready for my partner to give me a good set, if they now suddenly set me off net, it's now going to require a good amount of footwork, usually a shuffle step in this case, to be able to get in position and perform a hit. This is why we don't want to set people off the net, because it doesn't just give them bad options, it now requires a huge amount of footwork for them. Righty, now the last thing I want to emphasize in this video, and what I want to emphasize in most of my videos, is just being mindful about what you're doing as an athlete. We now know the 4 different landing zones in Roundnet, and there's a different time for all of them. If we know the defense are really well set up, then we want to give our hitter options and angles to be able to solve and find an open gap. If we now see both defenders over by you, the tripod, then I'm probably going to force my partner to hit away from you guys and give them a set a little bit closer to the rim, so it doesn't require as much footwork for them to perform a hit in this direction. Of course, if I'm also running right away from the ball and the only touch and the only set I can give is a set off the net, well, that off net set is still better than no set at all. So it's just being mindful and conscious of what set you are trying to give your partner in different instances, in different scenarios. And that concludes today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and feel free to share the video. And looking forward to making more of these types of video in the future.